Yeah. Maureen.
But you're like this every month.
All right, you're good.
I'm all good. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Justin. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Merrimack Parks and Recreations Committee meeting. It is currently 7:02 on January 15th, 2025. And let's quickly go around the room and introduce. My name is Tracy McGraw. I'm the chairperson.
Matt Kasparius, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Heather Fairbanks, committee member. Maureen Hall, senior representative.
Rick Grenier, MOA rep.
Michelle Creswell, member and secretary.
Josh Toms, committee member.
Lori Rothaus, School Board Representative.
And before we get to Brian, we wanted to welcome Brian. This is Brian Landrigan. This is his first meeting. He just passed through the gauntlet of the Town Council and Parks and Rec's interview process and has been sworn in. So I wanted to welcome Brian to our crazy group. And he has some really great ideas, including one I'm going to have him talk about tonight, that he actually got Finlay and Nancy to get a little excited about. So be prepared.
Thanks,
I should have
Tracy.
warned you.
That's okay, not a problem.
All right. So let's see. We haven't. I know that Michelle. You do the meeting in the minutes at the bottom. You want to just leave it at that?
Yeah, that was how I sent it.
I know. I'm used to doing it first, but that's okay. I go.
I figured because whenever we have speakers, we end up jumping them ahead of it anyway, and so I just was like,
Yes.
we'll just do it later.
All right, so first thing on the agenda is old business. We could start out with Matt with the budget presentation to the town council, which is taking place next Wednesday, but they're also meeting tonight as well. It's a little
Correct.
bit
Yeah.
different.
So Parks and Rec budget presentation to the council is next Wednesday at 6:30 upstairs in the Matthew Thornton room. We did talk about the budget back in November, I believe. But just for benefit of people at home and Brian, who's new, real quickly, obviously, our budget falls into kind of three categories. We have our kind of taxpayer funded things, we have our capital improvement projects, and then we have what's called the recreation revolving fund. Our taxpayer funded budget is largely stuff that I have no control over whatsoever. It's utilities, telephones, water, gas, electric, all that kind of stuff. But then it also includes things like 4th of July, the holiday parade, Halloween, Winter Carnival, those types of events. In terms of capital improvement projects, obviously we have a ongoing 5-year capital project request that we submit. This year we had submitted 3 projects, but only one has been moved forward to the budget for town council next week, which is the beach renovation project. The project was originally submitted by me this summer at $110,000. They scaled it back to $100,000. I know they're worried about just overall budget picture. I know the town manager is worried about just trying not to raise taxes too much, and there's a lot on there this year. So we scaled it back a little bit. Hopefully 100 is going to be enough to do it. DPW is working on updated estimates right now, so fingers crossed that it keeps going forward. But as you recall, a couple of years ago, we did at Wasserman Park Beach, we did the kind of right-hand side of the beach with the perched beach with the stairs and all that. And that came out phenomenal, and residents love it. And we've been trying to get funding for a couple of years now to do the left side. And the challenge was when we did the first piece of the project, there was originally supposed to be an accessibility piece to that side to the beach, to the docks. And the issue was there's 3 big giant pine trees in the middle of the beach, and the state, through our wetlands permits, wouldn't let us take those 3 pine trees out, even though it's tree roots sticking out of the sand out in 30 feet in both directions, and it was tripping whatever. They said no, so we kind of had to redo what we had originally planned to do over there. But essentially on the left-hand side of the beach, the goal is to do kind of what we did on the right-hand side with the perched beach, but in this case, coming in from the side closest to like the theater, will be a accessible pathway right down to the water, so that we build in that piece that we're missing. Our initial permit with the state actually expires this coming November, and so we were trying to get this done in this current fiscal year, and it got pulled from the budget last year with everything else going on. We're hopeful for this year. If the town council decides that they can't afford it this year, we have the ability, I just learned this afternoon, we have the ability to apply for an extension. It actually gives us a 5-year extension, which I wouldn't necessarily want. We were originally told it was a 1-year only, and then you'd have to start over. And that's, hundreds of hours for DPW to redraw the plans and resubmit all the paperwork, and it's like $5,000 in permitting fees and all that kind of stuff. So we're hopeful we don't get to that point, but we'll see how that goes. So that's our only project for this year that at this point is still in the budget. And then the last part of the budget is our Recreation Revolving Fund, which has been in existence for 8 years now. Essentially, all of the programs that we run are self-supporting, which means we don't get any tax dollars for any of our programs. They're all of our programs have to cover not only the direct costs, but also some of our indirect costs, such as a portion of my salary, a portion of actually our camp and after school director, which I'll talk about in shortly. Her entire that position's salary and benefits is fully paid for out of the programs that we run as well. So again, there's no tax impact for any of the 400 plus full programs that we run in a year, which has allowed us to grow like crazy. When I started here 12 years ago, we were doing 25 programs a year. And so we've just been exploding, which is a nice problem to have. So again, budget is next week at 6:30. Anybody that would like to join me is welcome, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Matt. Next on here is talking about the Merrimack Dog Park. Heather, is there anything you'd like to chip in tonight?
No, I really can't say. I haven't been
Okay.
in a while because I have a sick dog, so.
That's okay. Matt has something to say, though.
I actually just came in. I got a random check in the mail the other day
Ooh.
from Benevity Giving Platform, and all it said was BAE Systems, and with no explanation what it was for. And so I called Christine because that was
We'll take
what
it.
her.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I had to make sure that that's what it was for, was the dog park. And I'm like, so I emailed Christine. She's like, no, that wasn't me. That was, because usually she has, her
Yeah,
company
but
has the volunteer hours it translates into, and we get those checks periodically. And so this was something, we found out it was something similar, but it was for the dog park. So we got an additional $149.84, which brings us to $647.18 is the new balance.
Well,
Hey, we'll
thank you
take-
for
we'll-
our
we'll-
benefactor. That was very kind.
We don't know who it was, but we know the company, but we don't know who the person that initiated it was. So I don't know. We'll
Very
take it.
nice. So a couple things having to do with the dog park. One, gates are not shovels. Just saying. So we had about 2, maybe 3 inches of snow that came in. And when I went out to the dog park, I saw that the gates were being used as shovels. So people were pushing the gates inward, and that way they could open it up. And I understand it's a problem. You can't get inside, but slide in, move it around, move the snow. I'll make sure that a shovel gets out there because I guess we're expecting something this weekend. I just don't know what it's going to be, and we won't know until probably Tuesday. So just be mindful of the fact that the gates are expensive, that the cost of any repair work that has to be done to the dog park, the fences, comes out of a volunteer fundraising kind of budget, which we don't really have. So let's take care of the dog park so that our pups can have a safe place to play and we don't have to close it down for repairs. Also, please do not try to unchain the center gates between the small and large dog park. They're closed for a reason right now, and we can talk about opening them in the springtime, once the mud season's done and the water's done and everything else. The other thing is that with the snow, we have to also remember that the water bowls, when you bring them to different portions of the dog park, try to bring them back up to the top before you leave, because they can get buried under the snow and then people can't find them. And the dogs will get thirsty even in the wintertime. They will get thirsty. Also remember, do not leave any bottles of water. Yes, please bring them for the dogs, but don't leave the bottles of water there overnight. They will turn into blocks of ice and won't be able to be used. So if you could just kind of keep them in your car, something like that. There's no place that we can put them. And of course, the water's turned off in the wintertime. Please continue to pick up your little presents from your pups. That would be wonderful. Stepping in them through the snow is not fun. That all being said, it looks like the pups are having a great time now that it's finally snowing and they're getting to play in some of the fresh snow. So come on out and enjoy the dog park. And you can remind everybody else to watch their pets and help keep it clean and safe. So, okay, it's going to be back to Matt for the director's report.
All right, let's start with our open camp and after school program coordinator. This has been the saga of my last 6 months.
Oh, no.
In 6 months, we've interviewed 33 different people for this one position. We started back in August. We, found candidates, made an offer, they accepted the job. The first one, on the day they were supposed to start, said, the day they were supposed to arrive, said, oh, yeah, I decided I didn't want the job. Done. Put it back out. We make an offer to somebody, the second person accepted the job, and then, like a week goes by and they haven't done any of their paperwork, and so HR is like, what are you doing? And nothing, ghosted us. Third one, now we're into November. Third one goes through the whole process, gets all the paperwork in, starts on day one, which was basically meeting with me for half a day and then working in the after school program for half a day. Next morning I get an email, no, I decided this job's not for me, I quit. Put it back out for round 4, December. Because of course every time you do these background checks it takes time and whatever. Round 4, December, find a great candidate, came through the Boys and Girls Club, again, same thing, ghosted us. Round 5, now, which went out right before Christmas. We actually got 3 really strong applicants. The first 2 turned us down. We made the final offer. We had one last candidate that we liked. Made an offer this afternoon. Seems excited, so I'm fingers crossed because I'm getting really tired of interviewing for this one job. Right, but it's we'll see. So I'm waiting with bated breath, but because I have to wait for this individual, obviously, to one, accept the job, do the paperwork, and hopefully, at this point, we're looking at probably mid-February, just based on timing of the background checks. Usually take about 3 to 3.5 weeks to go through. One of the ones that we have to do is a DCYF background check through the state, and the state of New Hampshire is very old school. There's one lady that processes all of this one check for every agency in the state. So it's a paper form that has to be notarized. So you have to get it notarized, mail it to her, wait for her to get to it in her pile, and then she mails it back for the town, which is usually about 3 weeks. And so which is part of the problem why it takes so long, and then we put it out, so we're hopeful, because one of the things frankly, that I'm worried about is Amherst just posted a similar position to what we've been trying to recruit for, paying more than what we're paying by a good amount. And so I'm hopeful that this person continues to join with us, but we'll see. It's the ongoing saga.
Matt, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Do we know why people are turning it down, or is it money? Or?
It's mostly money,
Okay.
Cost of housing. Some of them aren't telling us, like the ones that ghosted us, they just no response, accepted the job and then nothing. Some of them I think are they get the offer from us and then go back to their agency and go, hey, they're offering me this. And they say, oh, well, we'll give you more to stay. And, so I think it's that.
Okay.
Again, our Merrimack scale is lower than most places around here, unfortunately. We've made progress in that area, but, we've actually increased the salary from what we started with twice this fall, trying to solve that problem. But the position's gone up basically $5 an hour from 2 years ago, but substantially more than what we were expecting to pay, but it is what it is. So, yeah. So we're to be continued and fingers crossed, but it's been an adventure. The summer camp registration opened up on Monday. We had in the first day 1,039 registrations in a single day, over $250,000 in registrations, just on Monday. This is last year. Our day one total was 893, so we're like 17% ahead of a year ago. And so my Camp Trek and Camp Nanticoke are both like 75% full after 2 days. Which is a really nice place to be at this point, and part of the strategy with camp has always been, one, we want to be affordable, and we are one of the cheapest day camps around, and we do that on purpose. And obviously I tend to get our, like, Camp Sargent hasn't opened their registration yet. And they usually don't until March, and so that sometimes works in our favor too. But we want a quality program, but we also want to make sure that it's affordable for people. We've had to do cost increases in camp the last couple of years by $20 and $30, and so this year is like, I really want to try to get it to level fund camp costs so that there's no increase, and we were able to do that. So, and it's paying off. So,
Quick question.
yeah.
I've noticed on Facebook, both on the Merrimack page and also just in general pages, people are starting to ask about local camps.
Mhm.
And I've been trying to refer them, sticking in Merrimack Parks and Recs. I don't know if it actually goes through, if they're not, part of the Merrimack group or anything, if it's something that they can't see. I don't know how the whole algorithm thing works with Facebook. But is there a way that, I think you run the website, right? Can you post out there? Because I haven't seen anything about camp.
Oh yeah, we posted a few things out there.
Which goes back to the algorithm.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
But if you post one and I see it,
yeah.
my algorithm will go.
Yeah,
up
it
and
went
I'll post.
it went out I think twice last week. We also did an email blast to all of last year's campers, and as a hey, here, it's coming up, that kind of thing. We didn't do an email blast to the entire town about camp, just because there's something like 7,000 email addresses, and obviously camp is only a few hundred of those, so the rest of the town doesn't necessarily care about, but we're in good shape. So I think the word of mouth is there. One of the things that I think also works in our favor is, like, obviously Wasserman Park is huge. We've got 45 acres to spread out. We've got all the buildings, and we're averaging, between the two camps, we're averaging about 150 kids a day. Camp Sargent is on a property of about half the size. They have very little rain space, but they will pack in 300 people in there. And so that works in our favor too sometimes, is just, better experience in my opinion, but, we work hard at that. So, anyway, so camp registration's open and ongoing, and we've sold out a handful of sessions and age groups already. And we'll just keep plugging away at that for the next couple of months, which leads us to hiring. We are just starting to get underway, just because I've been so tied up with this head position that we're kind of just getting underway with recruiting staff. Right now, I've actually got about 65% of the staff from last summer coming back, which makes life so much easier. But we just posted this afternoon, in fact, for new candidates to go in and apply. And one of the nice things that HR was able to do in the past, it was, if you were interested in a counselor and a lifeguard and maintenance, you had to do 3 different applications to be considered for each one. Now they've simplified it, and it's actually just one posting, and when you get into the application, it's check the boxes of the positions you're interested in, so it saves them time and that kind of stuff. So, so hopefully those will start coming in, but basically we're looking for junior camp counselors, which is 16 and 17-year-olds. Senior counselors are those that are 18 and older. Paraprofessionals, one-on-one aides are 18 and older. Lifeguards is starting at 16. We are trying, hopefully this year, to bring back swimming lessons at camp. It's one of those things that swimming's always part of camp. It should be, and it always was up until 2020. 2020, when we got shut down because of COVID, anybody that didn't teach swimming lessons that summer, the Red Cross, like their certification expired. And because usually the instructors that teach the water safety instructor course, the certification, are usually the same ones that teach lifeguarding. And there's such a nationwide lifeguard shortage that nobody's been offering the swim instructor course. So we haven't been able to get staff for it because there's been no courses to train people to do it. I started seeing some like right before the summer last year, so we're hopeful that there'll be classes available this spring. I actually have, while we are looking for lifeguards, I actually have 1, 2, 3. I think I've got 4 out of my 6 positions for guards filled. So I'm not in bad shape for guards otherwise, but. And then beyond that, we have our summer park maintenance and then weekend park attendants at Wasserman Park. So all of our positions are up on the website, our site as well as the town, and they're kind of open till filled. So as they come in, I interview and we bring them on board as we can. So, so we're off to a pretty good start there for being kind of late to the ball on starting the process. Because usually we start it like early December and just I haven't had the time. So. We had the tree lighting, well, a little over a month ago. We had 28 groups in the parade this year, which was the largest in the time that I've been here, in the 11 plus years that I've been here. Our theme this year was Charlie Brown Christmas, and just about every single group was actually actively decorated to the theme, which most years might get 1 or 2, and we actually went away from doing prizes because for most years nobody was decorating. It was like, hey, you put a string of lights, you win. It's like so. But there was actually some really good floats. So I think we actually have I think next year we're thinking about Home Alone as a theme, but we'll see. But we had roughly 700 to 800 people in attendance at the tree lighting itself, with of course the high school marching band, Broadway Bound, Miss Liberty, and of course Santa and Mrs. Claus. And then lastly, if you've seen the band, actually you can still see it, but it's still decorated down there. But that was Outdoor Lighting Perspectives, which was a local company that they did all the decorations and set it up and for us this year. So that was a nice, because it saved me from having to do it in December.
Yes.
So, so that was great. And it sounds like from conversations with him, he's going to keep doing that every year and kind of make it bigger and better every year is his hope. So, yeah, so we're plugging away there. And then let's see, the ice skating rink did open up last week. We've gotten a week out of it, so I think we've already passed last year's record and the year before for that matter. Looks like cold temperatures at least for the next week. So fingers crossed that keeps staying cold. You start getting those 35, 40 degree days and it melts pretty fast in the direct sunlight over there. So, so that's all looking great. And then lastly, our Winter Carnival is coming up. It's Saturday, February 8th from 12 to 3. This is 2 weeks earlier than we usually do this event. The reason we're doing that, and I think I said this back in November, but I can't remember. We've had 8 out of the last 11 years with no snow for the normal, it's usually the start of February vacation week. And we've had years where it's 40 and 50 degrees and, we always seem to get this big blizzard in early February and then by the 15th of the month it melts. And so we moved it up 2 weeks in hopes that we have snow, and so we can do, like the Lions Club is hoping to do their ice fishing derby on the lake, and have sledding and snowman building and all those kind of things that we kind of miss out on. So we'll see. We're collecting businesses and community groups for the next couple of weeks to run activities as we always do, and yeah, we're plugging away.
You
And that's-
just jinxed the snowstorm
course I did.
at the beginning of
Of course I
February.
did, but
I'm just saying.
it'll probably come on the 8th now instead.
But that's okay.
Well, we'll see.
That's okay.
Matt?
People will still come. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No, I
Brian.
was just gonna ask you, is there a place a list of volunteers that you need, what kind of jobs that you need to have filled?
Yeah, so right now, usually when the committee volunteers, I usually have you guys staff the park and rec table and be kind of answering questions and visibility kind of thing, because I'm usually running around in 5 different directions. And so it gets staffed. We do take other volunteers as well, and it's like one of the things we've been trying to do, we used to do that we haven't been able to do without snow is we used to do a cardboard box sledding contest. And so then, usually like I'll get the high school kids to serve as like judges and line officials and for that kind of stuff during Halloween. We've done, we did our pumpkin race at the Halloween event and, again, stuff like that, Right now, like I said, if anybody's interested in joining us, mostly what I'm looking for, I think, is the park and rec table staffing, just to add to, hand out paperwork and answer questions and direct people, that kind of thing. Easy job.
Yes, and we get to sit close to Merrimack friends and family.
Yes, with the food.
With the food.
And the ice carvers.
And the ice carvers, yes.
So,
Yes. Priorities, man.
and the s'mores. We're having s'mores.
All right. All right, let's go to organizational reports. The first one is MYA. Got Rick.
Thank you, Tracy. Not a heck of a lot to report. Presently in season are sports of basketball and wrestling. If any parents out there are looking for registration information, you can find it at the MerrimackYouthAssociation.com website. And a thank you again to the Merrimack School District for allowing us to use their gymnasiums during winter for our basketball and wrestling programs. So thanks again.
Thanks,
That's it.
Rick. All right. Maureen, Seniors Club.
Hi. We have a few cute things to talk about. We had voting on our officers on Monday. Of course, it was a lot of confusion, and I left. I just couldn't stay any longer. I had things to do. So next month I will tell you who all the officers are. So, because they have a board of director meeting, because they had a lot of people signed up. So we are looking for a secretary for the seniors. Michelle, are you there yet? And we started a new thing this year. We're trying it out because everybody goes to meetings every Monday, a meeting, and we sit there. And we've had complaints, it's boring, but sometimes they don't want to stay late, and we have a speaker and it runs over. So they're going to start, the second Monday is going to be a meeting, because that's when all the reports come in and the bank statements, so we'll have a long meeting. The other Mondays are going to be open. We'll have speakers, we'll try to get some speakers, maybe entertainment, play checkers, do whatever you want. Bring in crafts, socialize. They do have a raffle, they'll still have a raffle because that brings a little bit of money in. And just talk, because a lot of other places only have a meeting like us once a month. So it's hard, and having people go every single Monday, which I don't go. But so anyway, we're going to try it and see what happens. And of course, we're involved with Matt with all his trips too. And they already have a sign up for something that I didn't listen to, because I was talking. Decorating the Christmas tree. So, Tracy, please. And that's all I have to say.
I'm sorry. Okay. Lori, can you tell us about school board?
So I have a couple things. We, today that was a half-day school, and all of our staff was in a workshop on suicide awareness education. The school budget has been a hot topic, and a couple of the things that were discussed on the school board level is it a critical need for the food service van, which we decided yes, because it drives food from different schools. One of the places that we have asked the administration to cut is they asked for a police detail at every school function, and sometimes up to 2 police officers. So we asked for a complete study, and if like Merrimack was playing like Nashua South and that was a big rival game, then maybe we would have police detail. But if it's just we're having a lot of police detail, maybe something that we could have more administrators, more volunteers at events. There is a request for middle school sports to have boys and girls lacrosse and also have a boys B basketball team because of the number of kids they cut in boys basketball in the middle school, but they still can play MYA, so there was supposed to be some communication with MYA. The Reed's Ferry is the largest elementary school now, so it used to be Thornton's Ferry for a very long time. So they did ask for a full-time counselor, another one because of the increase of students, and then increase in math interventionalists at the middle school. And then there was a large discussion on football uniforms because the football team is requesting new uniforms, so people wanted to know, are we just giving football? The last time the football team got the uniforms was 2019. They get very destroyed, but the gate receipts that come in from all the other sports pay for uniforms. So there's a rotation of teams that get uniforms, but that just comes out of the gate receipts. And the only budgeted, but just because football is our biggest sport, comes from the school budget. And then the school board looked at class sizes. Again, the thing that I talked about last time we met was the SAU building. The school board had a work session meeting, and one of the things that we thought might help us is we've reached out to Fidelity and Abby Johnson, who's a billionaire. Fidelity is a major corporation in the town, to see if maybe they could just give us $1 million or $2. That would be nice. So we're trying to find some alternative ways because we understand clearly that, when the commercial industrial, I talk about it every time, went down, but residential keeps climbing. The other, thing that is on a state level, the funding that we're giving to private school students. So if you want to go to BG or you want to go to St. Paul's versus public schools, is crushing our taxpayers. And then there was a lot of talk about how we come up with a default budget. And if you watch any of the budget meetings, so the default budget, you still have to put all your contract agreements in there and anything that was critical from the year before. So we're still in negotiation with MESA, which is our administrators. We did not come to an agreement before the budget starts. So that number might change, but they have to be based on where we started in negotiations. So there was a lot of just information for people to try to understand. I guess that's it. That's it, huh? I know. Oh, it's a lot of fun, let me tell you.
It was a lot of help to understand a little bit more of what's going on, so I appreciate that. We could run across the hallway and go check with town council, but I'm thinking they're just busy right now with, so. Let's go to the minutes. Has everyone who was at the meeting November. Have you had a chance to look at the minutes? Does anyone have any changes? Most of the changes come from Mackenzie, so we're safe tonight, right? All right. So do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the November 20th, 2024 meeting?
Make a motion.
Okay.
Second it.
Okay, all in favor who were here? 6. Brian, you weren't here.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Just join in.
Okay. And Lori. Okay. Next time, Brian. All right. Justin, any comments? Okay.
Good job, everybody.
How about the committee? Does committee have any questions?
Something Brian was gonna talk about?
Oh, yes, that's right. There is a comment. So, during his interview, Brian decided to explain a project or an idea that he and his wife have been working on, and I think town council members are interested in it. Brian, you
Sure.
got the floor.
Yeah, thanks. One of the questions I had when the people I met with asked why I wanted to join was what's personally important to me is my health. And then I thought there might be other ways to impact other people's health in the community. And I think Park and Rec is the right place to do that. So what I mentioned during the interview process was that Pauline and I, my wife, decided at the beginning of last year, just before the beginning of last year, to do something measurable that would impact our health. And so we joined something called 365 Mile Challenge. It's a website. It's some people that started this. It's nationwide. And what they ask you to do is try and walk or ride a bike or hike 300 or snowshoe 365 miles during the course of a year, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's 1 mile a day. But they're specific about, the challenge was specific about you can't do it in your neighborhood. You can't just count walking around the block. We walk quite a bit around the block, and everybody does those kind of things. So what they wanted to do was encourage you to get out on trails and off the road and those type of things. So we signed up and joined that, and we found that it opened up a whole vista of opportunity for us to explore parks in town. I didn't know how many parks we had that were accessible. And then state parks and even national parks. We had a 2-week vacation in Iceland, so we did a lot of hiking there. But every time we did something like that, we just remembered the impact we were having on ourselves and the goal that we had to try and get to that point. And it was exciting because we spent a good part of the day hiking through, like I said, parks in town and in the state. Then we've been snowshoeing for a couple of years as something to do in the winter. So we took the challenge and said, let's go snowshoeing places we've never been before. We started using our bikes. This is like the second or third year we started getting back on the bikes and riding on the rail trails and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. We found it was really enjoyable. It got us to meet other people, and it was really good for our health to be able to do that. And it started impacting our life because we started scheduling around, well, okay, Tuesday's our hiking day, so let's make sure we got the time set aside to do that. And when you do that, it really highlights the fact that you can put things like that first and then schedule everything around it. We didn't feel like we lost out on anything just because we were doing that. It just meant that it rose to a higher level of involvement. The funny thing about it was when I interviewed, we started out with a deficit because we started in January and there's not a lot of hiking you can do. We can do some snowshoeing. But if anybody's ever snowshoed, you know that you snowshoeing a mile is not the same as hiking a mile or riding a bike for a mile. So we fell a little bit behind. We started to catch up in April when we spent some time in Iceland. It was specifically a off the beaten path type of program in Iceland, so we did a lot of hiking there. And then in the summertime when it picked up, we got on our bikes and we were able to catch up. And we finally caught up with our challenge sometime around the middle of October, which was really, what's the right word? It was really impactful. So like, we're actually going to do this. We had considered we might not be able to accomplish this. And we stayed ahead of the curve. We were hiking and snowshoeing. We were doing all kinds of things during the winter. We decided to leave the last 2 miles for when our grandkids visited in Christmas time. They come from California. I've only seen snow the one time they'd been here when it snowed, the 1 year it snowed at Christmas time. So we thought, well, we'll spend the last mile or two hiking with them through the woods and through the snow and stuff like that. The day before they arrived, the 20th of December, Pauline fell and fractured her kneecap. 10 days before the end, and we had like 2 miles to go. She's in an immobilizer cast. She'll be in one for another 3 weeks. But she hobbled through the woods for a mile while we were with the kids. And then we went back like 3 days later and actually did what's called the educational loop at the middle school, behind the middle school. because there's a stage there and the kids had a lot of fun playing, and we were able to finish. We were able to do it. And it was great. It felt like a real sense of accomplishment. And I thought, in town, we could do something like this. Like we could have kids involved and hike maybe 1 mile a week, and the same day in Watson Park one time, Wildcat Falls another time. There's whole bunches of places, Horse Hill. So it just thought, this might be an interesting thing to try and talk about and try and get going.
And then also during the interview that we talked about, possibly getting the groups together and things like that. And one of the things that I was thinking about while we were trying to figure out the 365 was even going outside of town. We have, you head towards Monadnock, and you've got some great areas over there where they can be hiked, and you can set up a group. Like the seniors club gets together and they have a trip that goes someplace, but you drive yourself. It's not going to be a bus. It's not going to be anything that's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They walk the seniors that go at 8 o'clock in the morning, almost every morning. There's a group that walks the outlets.
And that's something that, we're in a great place in New Hampshire where we're not so much in the city area. So we can actually get outside. We can hike lakes. There's a lot of places that we can go that are fairly nearby. And it sounded like a wonderful way for people to really kind of and get you outside.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring it up because I know that the town council members that were there for the interview were extremely interested in it. And I personally think that they should be the first ones signed up for it. Yeah, go ahead and tell him when you get home. But anyway, so that's going to be something that I think is going to be on Brian's list of things to do
Sure.
to get us going.
I'd be happy to.
All right, wonderful. With that, does anyone have any questions, additions? Yeah.
I'm just wondering if Brian does. It's his first meeting.
Oh, yeah, well.
No, this is really fascinating. Thanks. I try and be quiet and just listen and learn a little bit, and not be too engaged. This is really good. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
I have something to say. It has nothing to do with us, but the Humane Society announced that they just raised $6.8 million in Nashua. They're going to start their addition on they're going to have low-cost veterinarian clinics so that people in Nashua and around towns that don't have a lot of money, like veterinarians, it's a business, they're going to offer shots and spade and neuters and surgeries. They're going to actually, they're looking for money, and someone has volunteered, if we raise $1 million more, they will match it. So that's kind of exciting. They just announced it today. I went on Facebook and looked it up, so.
It's all about the fur babies. Anything else from anyone?
That'd be great. Did you know John Listoka?
Okay.
I did not.
All right. So our next meeting is going to be on February 19th. The next one after that is going to be on March 19th. Again, Matt is taking names for anyone who can possibly help and volunteer for the Winter Carnival, which is the Saturday before the Super Bowl. Since we're not in it, there you go. If there's nothing else, then do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Josh, thank you.
Brian.
Brian. And I see all in favor? All right, so we are adjourned at, sorry, I was going to say 1946, 7:46.
Super.